So, hey, this is PJ Ferguson with Web.Ninja. I am doing our weekly webinar, weekly WordPress webinars every Wednesday at 11. It's me, PJ, and Cody the Wonder Dog. He's joining us today. That's about as excited as you'll ever see him get because he likes to sleep. So, we are going to be talking about Google Analytics today. There's a plugin for WordPress called Google Analytics Dashboard. And it is a very specific, it's probably the most popular, I wouldn't say it's necessarily the best, but it's the most popular free plugin. And that's why I want to highlight that today, is because most people use it because it is free, doesn't cost anything. It gives you a decent amount of statistics. It's more of an at-a-glance type of thing, but it's still enough for you to get a kind of a clue as to what's going on your website, who's visiting it, where are they coming from, how are they behaving on your website. Again, it's very at a glance, but it's still got some useful stuff. And since it is the most used analytics plugin, I wanted to highlight it today and answer some people's questions. So I'm gonna share my screen and we'll get this started. We are Ninjaversity. This is the university that I'm building for online success to help you succeed with your business and on your online efforts. And the reason I love online stuff is because it basically connects you with the entire world. And so while I feel like I'm teaching a WordPress, I feel more like I'm helping you succeed, because a lot of people use WordPress because it's free. A lot of business owners struggle with it. Because another thing they love is that they can change their own content. You don't have to wait for somebody like me or pay someone like me. So it's budget friendly. It's also convenient because you can make changes in real time instantly. You don't have to wait a day or two or three, or some companies I know it takes months to get a change made, which is very frustrating. But then there's another frustrating thing, which is the learning curve that comes along with learning WordPress. I remember my first time using WordPress, I was extremely disoriented. I didn't know what it was or what I was looking at. And so I understand the frustration a lot of you are experiencing, and I want to help you get past that quickly and start getting the things done on your website that help you reach your audience and grow your business. So welcome to Ninjaversity. We're going to be expanding it as we go. And these free meetings are really meant to help create a community of people who have questions, who are focused on succeeding. And so I want to welcome you and thank you for being here. Now, this Google Analytics dashboard, I'm not going to spend much time showing you how to install it. It's pretty straightforward. It would actually cause probably more confusion if I showed you that part of it. So I'm just going to go ahead and start with how things are after you've installed it, and how to use it once you get going. Now, mine has been installed. This website is rather new, so the analytics I have are also rather new. And so I think part of the fun is going to be that you'll see, for a lot of you who watching, it's going to be, you're going to be seeing some of the similar things, and I want to let you know what to expect. So I think that part of it will be fun. So there's actually a whole lot of stuff that goes along with this plugin. So as well as just analytics in general, I totally geek out about analytics, because that is absolutely where the success of your business lie, is in paying attention to the statistics of what's working, what's not, where are the breakdowns in the process of people being introduced to your business or website, and the final conversion that you're looking for, whether that's that they sign up for something, they buy something, they call you or connect with you in some way. And you can really glean a lot of information as to what's working and what's not, so that you know what to fix or to improve. You can also even find ways to open new avenues to your business. I can't get into too much detail again, because this plugin is very skin deep, and so, but I did make some notes that I think will be helpful that I'll flip between back and forth what's here on the dashboard, which is where you're going to see a lot of your statistics. This is really where I'm going to focus this webinar. And I'll flip that back and forth with the notes so you can see some important stuff that goes along with it. So just some really quick notes that I wanted to point out is that analytics are never 100%. They're not 100% accurate. Depending on your source, you may get different numbers. And so you're still getting a really good general idea of what's going on, but you should know that not everything is completely perfect, okay? So don't freak out if something doesn't seem right or doesn't match up. That really is just how things are. GAD is Google Analytics Dashboard. You consider it as at a glance. It's skin deep information. There's so much more information that you can get from your Google Analytics account directly. There's way more beneath the surface. And you can actually drill really deep into very specific information. And the more successful your business is going to create that deeper level of information that you'll want to keep on digging down to find out, what's going on beneath the surface. So hopefully what I share with you today is going to let you know when and where you should be digging for that very important information, okay? Another thing that I highly recommend with having these kind of analytics is that you have a goal. What you can see all the different types of information that you can look at here. We're going to go step by step through every single one of these. And if you're interested in this information, which you should be, then you should have a specific goal as to how much do you want to get or what type you want to get. And by having, and also, and I put this in here, have some solid reasoning behind the goals. Don't just want more traffic because you want more traffic. Want more traffic because you have a specific reason for getting more traffic. For instance, if you know that getting more traffic is going to get more sales, great, go get more traffic. But for instance, if you're getting lots of traffic but not a lot of purchases, well then there's a breakdown on your website. So you should be looking at the statistics that show you, okay, people are getting to my site, I'm getting lots of traffic, but not a lot of purchases. So, or signups or calls or whatever it is, your conversion that you're looking for. If there's some breakdown, you want to find out where that is. So then rather than trying to get more traffic, you're going to go try and get more conversions, better conversions. So perhaps you find a broken link on your page. Well, great. Then you can set a goal towards, okay, once I fix that broken link, then I want to make sure people are then getting through the whole process of getting to my site and then purchasing, signing up, converting. I'm just going to call it converting. I have a tough time with that word myself because it seems a little bit heartless and more like we're talking about numbers than people, which I don't agree with that approach to business. But as far as conversions, you're just going to have a definition for what is a conversion. And that means people connecting with your business in the way that you want them to, okay? So have some goals around your analytics or your statistics and have solid reasoning behind the goals. Don't just want something because you want it. Have a really good reason, okay? So the first thing, when you log into your WordPress dashboard, you're going to see these different widgets here. So for instance, there's this at a glance, there's activity. I've got a domain checker plugin. There's also the Yoast plugin. Quick Draft is also another stock WordPress widget that you'll see on your dashboard. So once you install Google Analytics Dashboard, this widget will pop up automatically. You can drag and drop it to wherever is most convenient for you. I usually have it on the right, but for this webinar, I have it in the middle just so that we can see and navigate it easier. So this drop down here has a bunch of info for you. And the first one is called sessions, which, what the heck is a session? A session, if you just look right here, I put some definitions, really just quick definitions. A session is just to keep it simple, visits to your website. And this is independent of users, okay? So sometimes some of these terms can get a little confusing. It may take a little time before it really kicks into what it actually means. But a session is just a number of visits to your website, period. Now, different to that is the users. That's actually the number of people visiting your website. So you'll probably have fewer users because somebody may visit your website multiple times. So when they're doing that and they're visiting your site multiple times, you may have one user creating multiple sessions. So you'll usually have more sessions than users. And I want you to understand the difference between those early on so that you don't get them confused. And there's different reasons for wanting to look at each of them. So again, important to understand the difference. Page views is the number of pages on your website that have been viewed. The bounce rate is the percentage of single page visits. I've never really seen this defined this way, but I think it is the easiest, simplest definition. A bounce rate is just if somebody comes to your website and they hit one page and they don't click on any other pages on your website, that's a bounce because they visited one page and then they went away. And I'll talk more about those later, but just as far as definitions, that's what those are. A session is just a session is a visit to your website. A user is somebody who visited your website. A page view is how many pages, just a number of pages that were viewed. And bounce rate is the number of or percentage of single page visits. Somebody who visited just one page and then went away. Okay, so when you're in this sessions, and somebody told me there's a little lag in the webinar between when I change pages, so I'll just go slowly here. When you get here to your Google Analytics dashboard widget, that's a lot of words, what are you going to look for? You're going to look for things like timelines. Okay, and by timelines, I mean this drop down right here, which has different lengths of time that you can view. So you can view real time. That's how many people are on your website right now in this moment. You can look at today, which might yield some interesting information. The statistics are not always up to date, like it might take up to the end of the day for those things to compile correctly. So might not necessarily be the best one to look at, but you might find it interesting. Yesterday is going to be more accurate because there will have been time for all of those statistics and data to compile correctly. The last 7 days, you can look at, hey, what happened during the last week? This is going to be especially important if you've done a certain type of campaign, like a marketing campaign, where you're driving people to your website and you want to see, well, what happened? You know, what during that period of time, what was my success or unsuccess rate? Okay. You can look at the last 14 days. I tend to look in general, I tend to look at 30 days because that's a good amount of time. 1 month tends to be, in my business and most of my clients' businesses, we tend to work in 1 month cycles because that's a good amount of time for you to run a campaign, see what happened, get the results, take a look, and then decide what you're going to do next. But depending on what you're doing, you can go last 90 days, 1 year, or 3 years within this dashboard. Now, 3 years and 1 year, they're not going to have much data for me because this website is, again, rather new. I do want you to see just a little bit how the trend that's been within the last 4 or so months. This one, we're just early into September, so that's not going to be nearly. But since it's a new website, this gigantic upswing in traffic, it should be pretty normal for a new website. If you started a new website and in the last 90 days you've had ticka down across the bottom, then you really need to do something to get more traffic going to your website. Like you desperately need to get more traffic to your website, for instance, okay? So timelines are really important because you want to zoom in, zoom out, look at trends according to different periods of time. And when you do that, you start getting a bigger picture of what's going on as far as activity on your website. So again, for mine, I like to see the 30 days. This is kind of a sideways trend right here, though it's not bad because we've got some really tall spikes here. And then I'd also probably be going to the 90 days or probably the year because I want to see just a little bit more general type of statistics of what's been going on. Okay. And so here, the 1 year, I see a different type of behavior than I do if I'm looking at 7 days or, for instance, the last 30 days. Okay. So what to look for? Look for timelines. Zoom in and out. Look for trends in traffic, which I just spoke a little bit about. Once you have enough time, enough data compiled for enough time, you're going to see trends of, is traffic going up? Is it going down? Is it going sideways? Or is there a weekly trend? For instance, if you're looking at 7 days or the monthly, is there a certain day or days that get the most traffic or the least traffic? And depending on your business, for some reason, do you want to have those low days be higher? For instance, weekends might be a very slow day for your business, and you may want to do something that beefs up the traffic for those days. Or you may look at seasonal. Are there certain months or seasons that are high traffic versus low traffic? This would definitely be a great time for you to, for the slow times, you want to definitely do more to get more traffic so that your income is more even and predictable. But if you see higher traffic during certain seasons, then you know, oh, hey, that's a good time of year. I should also do some promotion for those times because, for instance, you might have spikes during Valentine's, maybe summer is slow, or maybe Thanksgiving and Christmas are especially important for your business. So you want to take as much advantage as possible of those high times as you can, because if you can double your sales, for instance, if you do a marketing push, great, go double your sales during that season because you know that's a good time of year for your business. And then again, do something for the low times because you know that it's really better to have steady income than wild roller coaster rides of income versus no income. Okay. So what else to look for? Spikes or dips. This here, this gigantic spike that you see here, that's a spike, right? And then the low times, it's kind of like looking at waves in the ocean. These low times are dips. These are going to be the markers that tell you, for instance, this is a good day of the week or a slow day of the week. For instance, my weekends tend to be pretty slow and I'd like to do a little bit more just to get some more traffic to my site on those days in general. It's not a huge business changer for me, but it is a personal goal that I have to get a little bit more even traffic across the board. You can see my efforts tend to be a little bit high and low because due to the nature of my business, I get people who are either super interested in what I'm doing or they're just like, no, not a good fit for me. I'm moving on quickly. Okay. And that may be for your business as well. Another thing to look for is what I call baseline traffic. This is going to be averages in your trends. For these, you want to zoom out a little bit. For here, I'm zooming out to 90 days. Right here, you can see a bit of a trend that's upwards, right? And you see these gigantic spikes. So you got busy days. And these are oftentimes when I am doing, and actually not necessarily, but oftentimes when I'm doing a marketing campaign and I'm specifically driving traffic to my website. And as you can see, I'm going to zoom out just a little more again. The trend here is up. Now, this is an extremely severe upward trend because with a new website, I've really been pushing it hard. I've been trying to get lots and lots of attention and traffic to it. And so this is a very extreme upward trend. What I'm gonna see probably is for this trend to sideline just a little bit. And once it starts doing that, then I want to keep doing what I'm doing to keep it in a general upward trend. And I honestly can't think of a time when you would want a downward trend on your analytics, because up is the way of growth and getting better business. So looking for a baseline in your traffic is going to be important, because you want to push that general trend upwards. Okay. So that's pretty much it for users. And again, if you have any questions, go ahead and type them in the chat. I'm going to check my chat really quick here, just because it doesn't always let me know when somebody has asked a question. And okay, great. Okay, so we're going to move on to users next. Again, users is similar type of information to what you'll be getting from the sessions, but it's a slightly different way of looking at the same information as sessions. Okay, where sessions is about website activity, users is more about user activity, how many people have visited your site. And this is especially important if you're looking to create new traffic versus repeat traffic, because you're going to be looking at how many people are on my site. Now, as I said earlier, you want to have some goals towards your traffic or statistics, and solid reasoning behind the goals. Now, sessions, that's good to get more visits to the website in general, but you also want to get more visitors to your site. So you may be looking at users specifically as a goal of how you're looking at the people on your site. Now, you're gonna see, you probably see there's very similar type of activity on my site. The user statistics are very similar to the session statistics. But here you can see there were 572 sessions and 528 users. That means 50 people in the last month visited my site multiple times. And that's useful because a lot of websites, you want people to keep coming back. Every once in a while, you'll have a business where they come once and then they're done because they got what they wanted, and the likelihood of them coming back is not good. With those, you'll have specific goals as far as I want them to share with their friends, or I might want to do something that gives them an excuse to come back. And those are things that you consider for your business. Okay. And so my business, I do want people coming back because I want to be a resource not only for information, but solutions for their website as far as services that I offer to help them increase their business. So I want my users to go up. I want my sessions to go up. I actually want my sessions per user to go up. And that means that eventually I'd love to see this be 1,000 sessions with 528 users, if that makes sense. Because for the users, I want them to keep coming back again and again, which for a site like mine is going to be because of the blogs that I write. Haven't gotten those super kicked in quite yet, but by creating useful blogs that give them information, they're going to keep coming back. These webinars are also going to be another reason for them to keep coming back. So I am going to be looking for my number of users to go up. Okay. So the next one that we see is going to be organic traffic. This is organic traffic generated by search engine searches. So somebody goes to Yahoo, Google, Bing, and does a search. This is what's going to show up under organic. This is just one success indicator of your SEO efforts. There are lots and lots of things to do for SEO. And this is, you know, the search engine traffic is just one very important indicator of how well your SEO efforts are doing as far as getting more searches to your website. Because like they say, marketing is pretty or social is sexy, but the money is still in search engines, okay? And that's because people are searching all the time for what you're offering. And you want to put yourself in front of them by using good SEO tactics to get your site in front of those search engines so that when people search for your stuff, the search engines put you at the forefront. So I'm going to switch this to the organic set of statistics. Now, as far as search engine searches for a website that's only 3 months old, this is actually quite good. I'm fairly impressed with the results that I'm getting. What you're seeing here is how many searches generated traffic to my website in the last 30 days. And I'll zoom out again to 90 days and 1 year so that we can look at the trend of, okay, good. I'm getting very good search results of people searching for something that's on my website, and between me and my competitors, people are finding me, and this is what we want. Again, we're definitely going to want to see an ongoing upswing in this, and so I'm going to be blogging my butt off to get a whole bunch more of that search engine traffic. Okay. There's going to be another statistic that we'll get to that's very directly related to this. And so you may have noticed as we've gone along that a bunch of this information is always right here. So you can always see the number of sessions in the last 30 days or whatever time period we're looking at. You can always see the number of users, page views, bounce rate, organic searches. And like I said, that the data may not always match up. The search engines that it said was 60, and it's actually 66. I went back and counted because I'm a geek about that stuff. Pages per session, and again, we're going to get to a lot of this stuff. Time on page, page load time, session duration. And organic, this one I find very, very important. You want to see how many people are doing searches and ending up on your site, because once you get that trend going of people searching for a certain search word or phrase, that's basically free traffic from now on. Once the search engines decide that there's a certain page or blog post on your site that is relevant to that term, you're gonna tend to keep on getting traffic for that. So one blog article can get you hundreds, even thousands of hits to your website. So you create one blog article, and I've literally had one client that got 4,000 hits a month from one blog article. And that's just enormous. That's better than average, but if you can imagine how powerful that is, that she wrote one blog post and every month still she's getting 4,000 hits to her website. So just the power of one blog post cannot be underestimated. Okay, so the next thing we're going to look at will be page views. And here I just wrote a little note as to this statistic is more about user activity. It's related to the bounce rate, and this will all kind of start to make sense. And if you watch this webinar again, this information will sink in and just keep on making more and more sense for you. It's especially important for heavy content and e-commerce sites. So if you are like a news type of website or a blogger or an e-commerce site where you're selling stuff, you're really going to want the page views to be pretty high, because the whole point is for people to be looking through, flipping through your products and reading more and more of your articles. And so, for instance, the page views here is actually pretty good, but I think it could be a little better. I'm going to tie this in a little bit to the pages per session. And if you go back to the definition where this statistic tends to be better or more important for and this is per the pages per session specifically, for an e-commerce site or say a blogging or news type of site where it's info rich, then excuse my reminder, then you're going to also want the pages per session to be higher. That means people are getting to your site and they're viewing more pages. Now that could be that, yes, they're flipping through your products or your catalog online, they're reading more of your articles online, or they're just in general curious about what's going on your site. They're very interested in your content. And that's really important. So this you can kind of see, it's people in average view 1.36 pages each time they visit my site. That may mean that they see something, they land on the home page and they see something that interests them, which I have done the statistics. Again, what we're seeing is skin deep, but you can dive really, really deep into this information. And so again, that's related to the bounce rate, because once my bounce rate starts going down, this pages per session is going to go up, which means people are viewing more than one page each time they visit my website. Now, this is not necessarily, neither of these are necessarily a bad statistic if this is high and this is low, because that means you may have specific pages that are squeeze pages. It's designed for people to get there, get all the information they want, and then do their conversion action, which is usually to sign up for something. In that kind of a case, a high bounce rate or a low page per session rate is okay, because it's actually good because they're doing what you want, bam, in one visit. So it's important to pay attention to these. People get really scared by a high bounce rate, but if you're strategic about what you're doing, it's not necessarily a bad thing. So we'll look at bounce rate next, because that's what's next, and they're both related. Bounce rate is the number of one-page views on your website. Again, related to page views, and again, not necessarily a bad statistic. It just depends on what your goals are and the strategies you're using to achieve those goals. But once you set that goal and that strategy, you want to use these statistics to find out whether your goals are being achieved or not. And so we'll take a look at mine again. I do have some very specific one-page strategies going on. And so even though my bounce rate is high and my pages per session are low, it's pretty much okay, because yes, I have dug deeper to make sure they're doing what I want. And yes, the one page squeeze pages are doing their job. So we'll go to the next statistic, which is location. This one's kind of fun. What are you going to look for? You can look for specific areas that you're targeting, and you might find areas to target specifically. So we'll go over here and look at the location. And you can see, oh, it's a little map. This is easy to read. We love graphics, right? One more thing for you to pay attention to is you can look at these statistics in different ways. So you can look at it by sessions, or you can view this map, and there's other of these in the dropdown that you can also click these different views, and you can view page views. And you're going to view them for different reasons. Now, obviously, here, according to the statistics, the United States is where most of my visits are coming from. Most of the people seeing my website are in the US. There has been quite a spike recently in Canada that didn't used to be so high very recently. And this one right here is going to be what matters to me most, the United States, because that's what I'm targeting specifically. I really want to get a healthy, strong business in the US first before I really look at any other international type of markets. But I can see if I'm starting to get some traffic from Canada, then that's worth looking into. You know, maybe I could do some targeted marketing or ads to Canada. And again, if you look in the Google Analytics account, in your specific Google Analytics account, you can see very specifically, is there a certain part of Canada? Is there a certain part of one territory, or even just a certain city where people may have, like I have a client who, um, for some reason, has gotten a huge following in Denmark. And it's really interesting. She was not expecting that, but she found that by really digging into that international market, she's actually been invited by certain groups over there multiple times. They've flown her out to do her thing over there and do presentations and hold workshops, which has been a fantastic experience for her to get to travel internationally because she cued into where her fans were and certain concentrations. And so you can find new opportunities. Again, I have another client who found that she had lots of people in Puerto Rico. Don't even know why. It just, there may not even be sense as to why a certain area might pop up. But if you look at this information, you can see, okay, I'm getting some traffic over there. What's going on? I'm going to dig deeper. You can get that kind of an at a glance type of information here. So I'm actually going to start paying attention to Canada and looking at what's going on there. And then there's other things that you should pay attention to, like Ukraine, India. Um, Interesting that I'm getting traffic from Kuwait, Indonesia, Philippines. These countries that I'm pointing out in particular, as well as China, are honestly going to tend to be spam type of traffic, whether it's real person or bot type of traffic. If you're getting a lot of traffic from those areas, you might want to actually do some take some security measures to find IPs that might be doing harmful type of traffic on your website and block them. Because that, yeah, again, a lot of hackers or malicious type of behavior comes from those countries. So again, that information can be useful. Again, just to point out really quick, if you are targeting an area, so if I started targeting Canada, for instance, and the traffic started going down or just wasn't taking as much traction as I hoped, I can get that information here and say, okay, well, maybe it was a fluke and it's not going to work. And then I can stop doing my efforts and focusing back on where I want them to be, which would be the US. The next statistic is pages. Once you pop this up, channels just means these things. So you see I have 572 hits from channels. These are the channels. Direct traffic, that's people just going straight to your website. Like they knew your domain and they just typed it in, or they saw it on a billboard or an email and they just typed it in and went straight there. That's direct traffic. Organic traffic is going to be organic searches. Again, I wish that they would put that word searches in there. Referral traffic is when they came from another website that usually wasn't a social website, social network like Facebook or Twitter. And then there's the social, which is Facebook and Twitter, Pinterest, all those good ones. So when we're looking at pages, I'll go back to my notes here. Things to look for. I neglected to put, I'll just go ahead and type it in. Look for top performing pages, because that's what it's showing you is the top performing pages. You may want certain pages to have high traffic because they do work for you and your business. For instance, my Ninjaversity page, I want that one to get lots of traffic because I am specifically sending traffic to it. And you can see right here, that's the second one, which makes me happy because the top page, I'll go back to this one, which is the live stats. The top page is actually my home page. This one, the other one was a screenshot, but I'll show you something in a second. The second one is deals and specials that I'm putting on at any given moment. And I want the traffic for that one to be really high. I'm very happy that people are visiting that page. Down here, we're going to see the how to use WordPress for free. That's what we're doing right now. And I am pushing that pretty hard because I'd like to create a very healthy community of people learning and using WordPress successfully. Right here, we've got some page not found. That's jumped up really high, and we'll get to that in a moment. This page not found is called a 404. So you may actually see that 404 pop up. You're going to want to look for those because when that pops up, that means people are ending up on a dead page. I'll just it's a dead page that's not anything. They'll usually just get a big 404. And when people are landing on a 404, they're going to kind of freak out and they're going to most likely leave your website. So look for those specifically when you're looking at these pages. And then fix them. We'll do another webinar where we talk about how to fix things like 404s. And the other thing that we're going to look for is not set. Not set, it means it's an actual page on your site that doesn't have really good like a title set for it. And that's not good for SEO. So you'll want to fix those so that every page has a title, and hopefully it will be SEO research so it works for your site. So again, these are going to be the top performing pages on your site. Homepage is always going to be the top one. If it's not, then it means you're really pushing another page super hard. And these other ones, if you see, sorry, I just had to mute someone. And if you see something that shouldn't be there, or if you see that a page that you're pushing and you wish you had more traffic, then you'll know, okay, well, I actually was working really hard to get more traffic here. It's not working. You can dig deeper into the information to see why is it not working. Oops. So I'm going to take a look at the chat. Okay, so we've got Janelle from all of this and all of that. I joined late because, oh, okay. Have I talked about the bounce rate? I have. I will go ahead and circle around back to that after the end, just because there's so much and I want to get through all of these. And I will absolutely be happy to talk about bounce rate again. Thank you, Janelle. So since we've got 7 minutes in the hour, I'm going to go really quick. Refers is going to be where you might have had a link somewhere that directed people to your site. A lot of mine are from clients, so you can see this QISLLC.com. That's actually a client. A lot of them, like Google, I actually don't know where that might be from an ad campaign. Facebook, I've got people coming from Facebook more than I actually would have thought, because I'm not doing stuff to specifically drive people from there. T.co is Twitter. That's their little link shortener. Errs Web Design is another one of my websites. People are clicking on my links in my email, is what that is. Open all URLs, that is kind of a spammy thing that I'll want to take a look at, and you should also pay attention to things like that. PWR, Power Ninja, that is my link shortener, so that's good. Again, this is spam, client, social. This is a search engine and client. Okay, so you're looking for where are people coming from. And again, if you think, well, I should be getting more clicks from somewhere, then it's not showing up here, then you can go research it, see if there's a breakdown in, you know, a lot of times when people do link shares, for instance, you might not get, oh, we lost Janelle. You might, you might go do some research and somebody might not have put your link up when you put theirs up, and that's not fair. So you want to go talk to them. Okay. So then you want to see, oh, well, I'm doing a lot of Facebook stuff, so I should really push that. As well as for Twitter, I hadn't been doing much stuff, but a friend did, and that's showing up here. So that's great. Very happy about that. So go see where people are coming from your website. If you find something pop up that is interesting, go see if you can beef it up. If something didn't pop up that should have, go see what you can do to fix the problem. The next statistic is searches. This is the actual search terms people are using to find your website. Now, Google doesn't actually provide the search terms for people who are signed in, which is really obnoxious. I don't know why they wouldn't, because they can do that without sharing proprietary information about that, or private information about that specific person. but yet they've chosen to hide that info. It used to be that we could see everything, and it was super, super, super useful. But you can still kind of get a fair idea of what's going on. Amazon, I don't know why somebody would search Amazon and my link show up. That's amazing to me. I don't know what that would be. Ninja Web and Web Ninja, obvious reasons why somebody would search for those and find my website, right? Because that's who I am, Web Ninja. So when you're looking for searches, you'll look for stuff that um, if you're targeting specific search terms and phrases, you want to make sure that they show up here. If they're not performing as well, then you'll need to take some extra measures to go make sure that the search engines are paying attention to you and your website for those search phrases and terms. Mine, obviously, I'm going to want Web Ninja because that's in my URL. But there's going to be other things that I'll want to get some searches for, which they might actually be here in the not provided area. But I'm going to want things like people searching for web design, web hosting, WordPress, different terms that relate to those things. I want them to show up here in this list. Since it's a new website, I'm not going to have enough traffic to fight against this not provided area, but I'm still going to be taking a look here. And in the upcoming months, more of those are going to pop up here, thank goodness. The next statistic that we'll look at is traffic, and I'm actually going to refer to my notes here for traffic because these are nice pie charts, again, easy to look at with graphics, and they're an overview of various traffic sources. So we've seen some of them already, but when you hover over these, you'll get different information. For instance, this part of the pie, 434, that's direct traffic. And here we see some organic traffic, that's searches, organic searches with the search engines. And here we see 12% referral traffic. So that was the stat that we just looked at. Over here, we've got visitor type. And when we hover over it, most of 91% of my visitors are new visitors and 9% are returning visitors. That's more than I actually would have expected, so I'm happy with that statistic. In the future, I would like this statistic, the returning visitor, to be more like 15 to 20%, because that means that I'm generating useful content for people and they are continually interested in what I am providing. And that's what I, in my industry, really, really need and want to do. Down here, we have search engines. We can see the traffic that came from search engines. Of that traffic, 85.5% was from Google, 10% was from Bing. We can get on that. 3% was from Yahoo search engine. And then 1.5% was the Sesnam, which I actually have no idea what that is. So I'm going to go research it. And then the last bit of traffic information that we get here is social networks. 80% of my traffic is coming from Facebook, 13% from Twitter, and this is specifically from my friend Beth Barani and colleague Beth Barani, who is helping to promote Web Ninja and these WordPress webinars because she loves it. And here we have some Instagram, which is also interesting because I've done a little bit on Instagram, not a huge amount. So getting some clicks from there makes me really happy. I'm going to go see what I can do more to honor that amount of traffic that I'm getting. The next bit of information we can look at is technology. This shows us various technologies used to view your site. You want to pay attention to things like device, like is your site mobile friendly? If more people are visiting your website on mobile devices like phones or iPads, then you want to make sure that your website looks good and people can get to the information they need on those devices. And that's mobile ready is also called, oh crap, the word just left my brain. Okay, I'll come back to it. So resolution is also gonna matter. If you have lots of people viewing your website on high resolution monitors, then you really want to pay attention to doing a site that is designed for high res. Okay, that's also going to be related to mobile ready. So another thing that you'll want to look at as far as technology is operating, or sorry, this should be browsers. I had changed that before. I don't know why it's that. So you want that, it's browsers. Does your website play nice with the most popular browsers? Because honestly, Google, Firefox, and Safari, still a little bit of Internet Explorer, unfortunately, but they all use different ways of reading code and displaying it, which means you have to use some special types of coding to make sure that however you code your website, it looks good on all of those browsers, because everybody's using all sorts of different technology. Okay, so if the answer is no to any of those things, you want to fix it fast, because if somebody can't read or get the information they need, or take the conversion action that you're looking for, then you're losing out on business. Very important business. So here, really quickly, you've got the browser people are using. Most people who view my site are using Chrome. A huge amount are using Safari, which we'll see is related to the mobile traffic. A small amount are using Firefox. I was surprised when I saw that. I thought more people would be using Firefox. Another small amount are using Internet Explorer. There's Android for Windows, Edge. We can hardly get into these. We've got Opera and Opera Mini, and another Safari. Okay, so what this means is, like, I want to go look at my website in Safari and make sure that it looks good on Safari. And if it doesn't, I need to fix it. Operating systems, this is what is the OS on their device. Most people are using Windows. So they're using Windows and Chrome to view my site. So I'm going to want to view it on Windows and Chrome. Another group, a big group of people are using Linux, which again is surprising. Android, which is mobile, Macintosh, and iOS. So I want to make sure that these all look good on my site, or my site looks good on them. Screen resolution, wow, look how many different resolutions there are. This is because of the mobile generation we're in now, is that there's screens of all size, anywhere from your teeny tiny iWatch to gigantic Apple or TVs with high resolution that we can view websites on. So here is the super high, well, this is like the normal high resolution for, say, a laptop. And that's what most people are viewing my website on, which is kind of surprising. I was expecting more mobile visits to my site, but it also makes me happy. This is a super high resolution for 1920. Again, high resolution. Here's a teeny tiny resolution. This means somebody is using a phone. Here's another big one, another tiny one. So far, the trend, because again, we're looking at trends, is most people are actually viewing my site on laptops or desktops. But we still see some mobile sizes in here. Again, most of these are big, 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 big. Okay. Now, mobile brands, you can see there's a decent amount, but these numbers are not super high considering how much traffic I've gotten. So I'm not getting a huge amount of mobile traffic. Most of mine is on these laptops and desktops. So I want to make sure my site looks good on those. I still want to make sure it looks good on smaller screens. Okay, so we've got Apple, Samsung, LG, ZTE, iRulu, which I'd never even heard of that one, Amazon. Okay, we've got all these different mobile devices, these brands that people are using to view my site. Okay, so then this is important because you want to make sure that whatever people are using, you want to make sure your site looks good. If you see a huge trend in mobile, make sure your site looks good in mobile. Considering we're in a mobile age, do it anyway. Make sure that your site looks good on mobile devices. Responsive. Ha! I knew it would get to me. But mobile ready, another word for saying that is responsive. So you want to have a responsive design on your site, because that means it adapts or responds to the size of screen it's being viewed on, which means it does its very best to display your information in a clear, clean, easy to read fashion, no matter who's viewing it on what device. So again, we're kind of screaming through these. We're going to get back to 404s now. Again, this is a dead page on your site. And if you find dead pages, you want to fix it. You want to make sure people get to a real page that gets people the information they want. So these are actually created by what I call piggybackers or leapfroggers, and they're creating fake traffic to these fake URLs on purpose. So there's ways to remedy that, and I'll show you that in another webinar about with a plugin called redirection. So that's another really important one you should visit or view. But as I click through here, I'm gonna be looking for any kind of URL that looks like a real page that people should be seeing something specific. And now I really don't, because I'm actually really, I pay attention to this very closely. I don't want any dead traffic on my site. Most of these are fake traffic, so we're good. I'm still gonna do some stuff to fix this, and I do that on about a weekly basis. And so I think, yep, I didn't have any like follow-up notes. So that's everything. Janelle actually left us, but I am gonna go through the bounce rates again. A bounce rate is the number of one-page views there were on your site. Again, it's related to page views. It is not necessarily a bad statistic, but we can see the bounce rate in a couple of different places. First here by choosing the drop down here, but then you can also see just the general bounce rate for whatever time period you're looking at here. Okay, so we can see the bounce rate has its dips and peaks, and I would in general like to get that lower, just because I'd like to attract people who are interested in more of my products and offerings. But I do have the time when bounce rate is not a bad statistic is if you are doing a campaign where it's, for instance, a squeeze page where you want people to get everything on that page, get the information they need, and then take the conversion action you want all on that one page. Okay, and so it really depends on what your strategy is. You want to be very clear about what your strategy is, and then what the goals are to go with that strategy, to make sure that those strategies are achieving those goals. So if you have a squeeze page, you really shouldn't have a problem with the bounce rate being high. If you have a site that is content rich, or you got lots of products that you want people to be sifting through, then you really want the bounce rate to be lower, because that means people are visiting more pages. And in general, it's much the same on an online site as it is, say, a store. Is the longer people spend in your store or on your website, the more likely they are to buy. So every second that they're on your website, that increases their chances of them taking the conversion action that you want. And so you want people to hang out on your site. You want them to keep reading your stuff. You want them to keep coming back. And the more that they do that, the more likely they are to engage with you and your business the way that you want them to. So that is it we went 10 minutes over, which is not too bad, but that's it for this webinar. If there's any questions, go ahead and unmute yourself or type it in the chat, and I will answer those now. Okay, so thank you so much for being here. Thanks for joining Ninjaversity. Please share with your friends wherever they like to hang out, wherever you like to hang out. Please send them to ninjaversity.com and have them sign up so that they can join us. Ask your questions, they can ask their questions. And I actually have a new thing that I'm doing, which is actual tutorials. So I'm going to do, as well as these hour-long webinars, I'm going to do individual tutorials. So I will be sending that out in the emails of how you can do that. If there's something specific you would like to learn how to do, send me the question and I will create a tutorial for you. So again, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Please share with your friends. Let's keep the love going and the success for all of us. And this is PJ signing off. I will talk to you soon.